PDG for that.
Now you can tell your joke. Anyway, welcome everybody to the March iteration of the Innovative Club Advocacy Special Forces Call, as it was called by my predecessors. We do have certain dignitaries. We've got some ARCs and the staff. We're being met by our RMO, Jose Gonzalez, and of course, our own resident Johnny on the spot, International Director Patrick Eakes is with us. Patrick, welcome. I know your schedule is a little tedious these days, as I'm told. Can't imagine why, but glad that you're here. You can always feel free to watch the recordings of these calls, past discussions. Not only are the links to those shared in the recap emails that I send out a few days after the call, but they are also all found on the YouTube, what's it called? Rotary Zones 3334 TV YouTube channel. And we are going high tech this month. And there in the chat is the link to that YouTube playlist. How about that? Even more bang for your buck. But speaking of recordings, without going into a whole lot of detail, I think it's pretty simple to recap what was discussed. I was not here, but I have seen the video, and it was, if you'll recall, about encountering and certainly overcoming objections. And in the process of doing that, not necessarily being defensive as we attempt to overcome them, but rather having discussions about how to overcome them. And again, I was not here. I, like some of you on this call, was neck deep at International Assembly. The recording is where the proof in the pudding is, so to speak. A huge number of you contributed to that conversation. So hopefully that can happen again this month as we move into our next facilitated discussion. Speaking of which, for this month's call, we want to talk a little bit about accountability, not only to give everybody one more thing to be accountable for, but certainly as the reports and the data show, that there is great success that follows when we all step up and acknowledge and address the accountability that we're all tasked with. You know, every month, the reason behind that is every month, as you know, you are asked to submit and update your data on that Google Sheet. And that is not designed just to give each of you one more thing to do. There is a reason. In fact, there's a few of them, good reasons why we're doing that. Most of which is what we're doing works. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't felt it, you have likely heard it, especially during this seasonal time of a Rotary year. The data shows it, and the right people, if you will, if there is any such thing as a wrong person, but certainly the right people have really started to pay close attention to what is going on in our zone as far as not just innovative clubs, but really what has now morphed into being called new club development. In fact, I think our director, Patrick, plans to share a certain amount of news with us near the conclusion of our call, but I don't want to steal his thunder. We're going to save him for later on. So let's go back to this notion of accountability. Perhaps as a result of the holiday hangover, despite the opportunities that season carries with it, the growth, at least that was reported in the sheet from December to January, was just, let's call it what it was. It was relatively lackluster. But the output from January to February, if you noticed, was completely different in terms of new club creation. I mean, completely different to the tune of about 3 times better from January to February than it was from December to January. And part of the reason why that was, if you just examine the raw data, is because there were 3 new satellite clubs created during that 30-day period that yielded about 50 new members. 2 of those were in District 7710, and 1 of those was in District 7720. So before I put the other 14 districts on the spot and ask them why they're not on that list, I would very much be interested in asking, for example, Camille from 7710. Would you like to share with this group a little bit about what it was that got you over that proverbial hump and moved your numbers from the yellow columns to the green column.
Yes, and thank you, and good evening, everyone. And I want to go ahead and tell you that if you hear dogs barking, it's my dog. He's very friendly. So District 7710 is quite fortunate that we have a number of hands-on leaders. And I can hear someone's background. I don't know if you know who you are. And that starts with our district governor, Jeff Blass. He is everywhere and he is interactive and he's engaged. And if he sees potential for membership, and I know Marge is on the call and she may want to join me in this discussion. Hi, Marge. The potential is shared. Jeff shares that potential with anybody who can keep it moving forward. An example of that is he said to me, hey, Camille, these clubs, I think, might be interested in supporting satellite clubs or impact teams or some such. And he gave me a list and I reached out to them and we continue to talk. And we'll see how that goes. So that's the first piece. And that includes our incoming district governor-elect, Lisa Higginbotham, and the one behind her, Patrick. So we have very strong leadership and they're quite engaged and we're really fortunate with that. And we all know each other and we stay tight, even though we're not even in the same town. So that's part one. And part two, and Marge again can jump in if she wants to, nobody is territorial. Whoever the person talks to, they talk back, they respond to them, they act as a sounding board. And sometimes two or three of us end up supporting the same person. We were fortunate to have someone who had Rotarian experience who talked with Jeff at the beginning of the year and then needed some time to think. And then she ended up talking with Marge and me. And Marge, I don't know who else Kathy talked with. And she ended up forming a club. And it took that many people, and it took probably 5 months for the reflection and the time for her. And none of us owned it separately or was tight about it. We all shared the joy and the love and the support for her to form this club. All of us were part of this. So that's the second piece. First is hands-on district leadership. The second one is all of us support everyone. And the third one is incredible flexibility, being available when and in the way the person who's trying to form a club or create flexibility in their club, being available in the way they need you to be available. Y'all, if I could tell you the number of breweries I've been to this year. Now, I like a brewery, but I've been to a couple of breakfast clubs, and I don't like breakfast club. I don't like breakfast meeting times. Make sure I say that correctly. I've been to breweries around me. I've been to meetings because that's where I was needed. And I know Marge can say the same thing. And I've also been on text with people because that's what some people need. I met with someone at a school because that's what they needed. And because I also had connections at the school and my presence made an interact team more possible at that club. So you just have to recognize that if we're asking the clubs to be flexible, we have to also be as flexible as possible. And sometimes being flexible means just hearing what they have to say and then saying, yep, keep moving. And who do you need to talk to? And what do you need from us? And if what they need from us is every form we've ever used, then we send it to them and we send it in Word form so they can take our logo off and they can put their logo on. So district leadership has to be heavily engaged. We can't be territorial, and we have to be very flexible with our support and adaptable and give them everything they need when they ask for it. And if it's like 5 months later, then it's 5 months later. So those are the three things I would say.
So what I think I hear you saying is you got to go to where they are, first of all, and you've got to be able to drink a lot of craft beer on the way.
Well, it wasn't craft beer. It was really good beer.
Okay.
But
craft beer.
Yes.
C-R-A-F-T.
Craft. Oh, yes. Craft beer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm always willing to drink some craft beer. Yes. It did help. Also, I don't know if y'all find this to be true, but I know a lot of people. And that's the other thing is And that's again, part of the adaptability. And I know I just interrupted you, Sean, and I'm sorry. But I'm gonna keep doing it.
No,
So
no.
I know people at different clubs. Yeah, if you're gonna go fishing, and I did grow up at the beach. So, I know people at different clubs. So if someone has reached out to me and they're not responding back, I'll text or talk to someone else in the same club and I'll say, do you know what's going on? And in one case, they were having surgery and they needed a little time off. And I said, all right, I'll just wait. And you know, it's just talking to the right person at the right time and having infinite patience, which we appear to have.
Great, great. That's all
Thank you
good.
for asking.
Absolutely.
I'd like to follow up with a few.
Yeah, please
I'd like
do,
to follow
Mark.
up with a few things.
Please.
One is, I really want to reinforce the impact that Jeff, the district governor, has had. And I think that that is really important for all district governors. Because he is very creative. He's out there encouraging people, not discouraging people. And I think he has made a huge impact. Camille's second point about there's no territory, I haven't seen that at all. I mean, it's just like everybody's in there pitching together. And it's not like anybody's like, oh, I want this, that. There's been none of that in our district. And like she said, the flexibility, the availability, we're there when somebody needs it. And it's like, okay, if you can do this better, then we call on that person. So I think Camille made the best 3 points. It's worked, but I really stress how important the district governor is to really be out there and helping to make this happen.
So if I could add on to that, Marge, so we have someone attempting to create a club and they are not successful yet. And I live the closest, so I literally assumed I would be the only one there. And when I showed up, our current district governor, our next district governor, and the governor after that were all 3 there. So the next 3 levels of leadership were there, totally unexpected. And there were members from multiple clubs around. And 2 of them had to drive in from Raleigh. And I don't know if y'all know how much Raleigh people don't like to come to Cary and Cary people don't like to drive to Raleigh. We really don't like to do that. And so
it's even worse with Durham.
Yeah, and also Durham. There were people, I think, from 7 clubs there to support them trying to create a club. And none of us had to be there. We just all showed up because they might need us. And I was floored by the level of support this group was given. And it'll be next year before this club happens. So all of that.
Fantastic.
Thanks for giving me time.
Well, no, thank you both for sharing all that. Does anybody have anything to add to that or any questions to ask either Marge or Camille? Patrick, I see your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Hey, just real quick, real proud of what you guys are doing out there. Are you guys doing paperwork for these clubs that are happening? Are you doing the paperwork and turning it into Rotary?
Yes, and I don't know if y'all know, but I learned everything from Patrick. So
No, Lord, Camille, you taught me everything I know.
You are so funny.
I was just wondering, I was looking at the report and I didn't see anything. So I just wanted to double check that maybe it was getting up to club and district support, correct? Because this is what kind of helps the momentum with what you guys do out there, all the stuff you do.
So I literally just sent a text to someone today saying, how are you doing with your paperwork? And she said, we're sending it in this week. By the way, she said that last month too. So we'll see how that goes.
I can give you the electronic stuff if that would help you in March.
Yes. I think sometimes they're just a little slow getting it in, you know. Yeah. And we'll see it when we see it. I held off putting some of the data in because I was concerned about paperwork. So, you know, thank you. And I would like the electronic piece. Thank you.
I'll send it over to you, Camille. Thanks a lot for all you're doing, you and Marge and your DG out there. I really appreciate it. I'll send it over to you tonight or tomorrow morning whenever I can catch Karen.
We have the best governors.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Cool.
One of the things I don't think came up on this is that also the district's getting very active in bringing on Interact clubs and Rotaract. And so I know they don't make the difference to the numbers, but it is really getting that foundation for going forward. So I think we're also doing a good job with that. Like I say, it doesn't deal with the numbers, but it's sort of it's the future of Rotary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it may not deal with the numbers that we talk about every month, but
Right.
if there's certainly numbers in a different place now, and let's face it, we hope that those are the numbers that we see later on,
Right.
that are part of that. Michael, you have
Yeah.
your hand up. What would you like to contribute?
Yeah, I would just say this brings up a good point of the incredible institutional knowledge that a district governor acquires during their year about the clubs. They're the one person that's visited all the clubs. Jeff's done obviously a fabulous job of raising this as one of the core issues when he talks to clubs. And I think it's important that institutional knowledge, that certainly with clubs that have that potential, like the list, Camille, that you said, that gets passed on and discussed from one district governor to the next, so that there's momentum, that obviously a huge amount of momentum built this year that you don't want to lose. You want to build on that momentum next year.
Absolutely. I think we might put that
Pretty
in
well
the
set up for that.
continuity of leadership category. Well, thank you on behalf of the team from that very thorough report from 7710. And you will recall that I mentioned a few minutes ago that 7720 was equally responsible in bolstering our numbers this past cycle. Is there anybody from that district or anybody on the team that's aware of what's going on, what it was that happened in 7720 that anybody can share with the group? No? All right. Then trust me when I tell you, I promise that they added a new club, and it was fantastic that they did it. And they probably have a very comparable story that they would share if they were here. There's also some new things going on with regard to, if you hadn't noticed, there's a new tab on the Google Sheet. It's tentatively the second one. That might be a good place to keep it, but it is there in large part thanks to some suggestions that were made by Albert Blackman in 7750. And I don't see him on the call. I don't know that I'll do it justice in explaining it as well as he could, but essentially what that is the next level of information about new club creation. The main sheet, the main tab of the Google Sheet, as you know, shows what goals are, what in progress is, and clubs that are actually created of the three general types of standalones, satellites collectively, and companions. This new tab continues to track the information about those clubs after they've been created, as they continue to grow. Thank you, Chris, for putting that up there. Yes, that's exactly it. And like I said, that's something that Albert and I have talked about. So right now it only has information on it with regard to his district, but I think that there's value in being able to remain mindful of the growth of these clubs after they're created. So I think at some point you may hear an ask. And if you want to go ahead and volunteer in the meantime to start, moving your district's information onto that same tab for those same reasons, I think we might see that that's beneficial. Does that make sense to everybody about what my understanding of that is and what could be? Okay. Anybody want to add anything to it? Anybody? Yes, that's a good idea. No, that's not a good idea. Crickets. Okay. I will interpret that as everyone thinks that is a fabulous idea, and we will move forward. You'll remember that earlier in the call I mentioned International Assembly. Show of hands, who else was there? Patrick Eakes, your vote doesn't, no, you don't count. Anybody else there besides Patrick Eakes? Come on, I saw some of you there. That's better. Did you enjoy that? Was that a good experience? Yeah, Dave Brenner, thumbs up. Sandy's shaking her head, yes. Sandy's probably still there, actually. She's traveling the world. No, you're back? Okay. Well, there were some fabulous presentations that week of International Assembly, two of which we want to share. Now, there are videos of some of those presentations, and I'll put the link to those in the chat now so that you can go back and watch those. But there's two for sure that we want to share with you as part of tonight's call. I know that Chris did us all a favor and compressed one so that it moves along a little more quickly. But we in the new club development business got a huge thumbs up from our CEO and General Secretary, John Huco. Chris, do you have the ability to put that up on the screen and just give everybody a little snippet of what was said?
Sure.
Okay.
Give me just a second here.
Thank you, sir.
Share sound. There we go. Well, that didn't sound good. Let
No,
me try and reboot.
That was AI John Huco. We want the real John Huco.
Yeah, let me get back there.
And we don't tend to watch all 18 minutes.
This is not the droid you're looking for.
No, not at all.
This is not going to work.
Okay. Well, like I said, the link is in the chat. You can-
Okay, I was gonna say I've got it,
so
so
that you can go back and watch that. And really, for reasons for time efficiency, maybe in hindsight, we don't want to play that anyway. But the point being, John Huco, for a number of reasons in the past, has really gone out of his way to share with the world the importance of new club creation, not just because membership growth is Rotary's #1 internal priority, but and part of what Patrick intends to share with us later includes that it works. And Patrick Longano can give you those statistics in his sleep. More than half of the growth in Rotary that we've recently enjoyed and experienced is because of new club creation. And
Hey,
that's
Sean,
not-
Hugh said that he brought it up. Do you want to let Hugh try it? I've brought it up as well. Do you want to see if it works any better
yeah,
with Hugh trying it out?
you want to try it out?
Just
um,
just make sure you
If
click
we-
on the
if I
sound button
get
when
a-
you go to share.
right, if I've got a have ability to share. There we go. There we go.
Be sure to click the sound button.
All right, I've got it.
Go for it. Your co-host. It's good stuff. I just would like everybody to see a little bit of it.
And Chris had it, was set at 1.75.
Afternoon, everyone. You know, each year, the International Assembly helps prepare a new generation of Rotary leaders for the challenges we will face.
We can hear it, but not see
Like
it.
Mario pointed out,
Hugh, is it possible to speed it up
as
to?
they relate to membership.
Yeah,
What?
click on the little icon for speed.
Says the guy who couldn't get it going.
Well, he got it going the
You
other
got
day.
it going
I'm
good.
sorry, I'm not hearing you. What? You're not seeing it?
Well,
We
it's
are
not going
now.
now, but there was a place to speed it up because it's 17 minutes long. We were going to try it at 1.75.
It's the three dots on the lower right-hand side of the screen, Hugh.
Oh, okay, just a second.
Come on, y'all, it's Mardi Gras.
Yeah, indeed it is, Mark.
Three dots.
Fat Tuesday.
Play, raise, disable, hide, share.
Don't worry. Sean, I think we should just move on.
Yeah,
I'll just skip it because I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing what you want. So I'll stop my share and be
well,
done.
again, I won't rah his speech any more than you'll be able to do that yourself if you're able to watch it. Again, the link to those, to his and all the others is in the chat. But there is one thing that I want to share with you, and that is our president-elect Mario was there, as you would expect, and he did a very powerful presentation as well. So I've got something here that I'd like to share with you. Did everybody see my screen?
See a PowerPoint.
Yes? Okay.
I see Mark Brandon at Mardi Gras.
All right, well, this is not on the screen, Mark Brandon at Mardi Gras. This is Mario at Orlando.
There you go.
And what he did was, right out of the gate, share his platform for his year, and included in that were 7 things about membership that he wanted everybody in the room and beyond to concentrate on moving forward. And the very first one was promote the new club format. You can't ask for a better opportunity to follow than that.
Oh, number 7's good too.
Yeah, and we'll get there. And I'll share some of these. And while some of these are new club oriented, some are not, I still want to share all 7 with you. Number 2 was resurrect dying clubs. And we know that the new club creation and providing opportunities that are out of the box compared to the norm is a fantastic way to cause people to not leave Rotary and instead explore those new opportunities and become some of these new ones. The third thing that he mentioned was strengthening traditional but diminishing clubs, which is kind of similar to number 2, but nevertheless. Number 4 was engaging former members. There's been plenty of people on this call share presentations around the zone about the low-hanging fruit of people that have left Rotary, maybe because they didn't enjoy the format or particular aspects of their club, so they left. But now that we've entered a new world of Rotary and we've started to find ways to make it more engaging and creating that enjoyable experience for people to be members of the clubs, that's a great way to find people. And maybe if they're still dissatisfied with their club of the past, they could serve as the spark to create the new ones. That is certainly what we talk about each month. And then, as Marge mentioned, and I think Camille did to some extent as well, when exploring the success of 7710, he talked about reaching out to youth. While that may not be part of our existing numbers on the Google Sheet with regard to ICA, there's certainly people that could become not just part of that other 200,000 member dynamic, but become part of the 1.2 that we know continues to get smaller without those kinds of efforts. The 6th thing that he mentioned was utilizing fellowships and action groups. Part of the new club creation that we talk about and the information that RI provides, we've heard our RMO Jose talk about it before, our cause base and the commonality aspect of what people's interests are and how those things create. Well, that's exactly what fellowships and action groups are about, is a conglomerate of people that all have that special thing, whatever it may be, in mind. And that's why they assemble with regard to that. There's really no reason why that can't translate into the new club aspect as well. And then the last thing that was part of the numbered parts was leveraging professional institutions. And while I listened to him speak, what he said was only a fraction of what that can mean, depending on where you are and what the opportunities are. That could lead to the corporate type of a club. That could lend itself to the relationships and the partners that you can develop in creating new clubs. And then while it wasn't one of the numbered things, the other thing that he did mention, and this is important, and Camille talked about the strength of the district and its leadership in being supportive of the cause. And that was an integral part of why those 2 new clubs were created in their district in the last 30 days, is choosing the right team. And that's not just your district leaders. It's not just your DRFC or your DPIC or those people who clearly have a relationship with membership, whether they realize it or they don't, but your AGs, where the rubber meets the road. These are the people that visit with those clubs in those geographic areas, presumably more often than any governor can ever get out there and be seen and visible. That's your army. I mean, it's in-house. You can't go wrong by failing to you can't go wrong by including those people in your efforts as well. The membership committee success in our various districts that we hear about is not because we've got necessarily the strongest DMC in the land, but because the DMC that we have was smart enough to create the right district membership committee, right? Everybody's heard that story before. So that's again, what I wanted to share with you from IA. And all these things go back to where we started, I think, with accountability. you know, if any of the other districts that haven't had a chance to offer up, you know, any of their trials, tribulations, or successes that aren't yet reflected. I know there are people on the call, not to single anybody out, but I know our director, Patrick, is very interested in being able to, in the next report that gets forwarded to the, you know, the RI board, look better than the last one. Anybody have anything that they would like to throw out there as far as just general discussion about any of the things that we've talked about so far tonight?
I'll throw out there here in 7610. We've really put a focus on membership. Obviously, we set a goal for a net 100, and I write a handwritten note to every new member in our district, and it's been about 150 notes that I've sent out this year, which sounds like a lot until you realize we're only net plus 18 for the year, which means we've had a big bleed off, which is, I guess, normal, but disappointing, heartbreaking, if you will. So we are doing, we did a large membership summit back in July to kick off the year. We're doing many summits coming up that the AGs and the membership committee are putting on throughout the district in each area in the month of March, with the hope that we'll see new members coming in from that, teaching them again how to do Discover Rotary, bringing it out to the specific areas, because they're not coming to the larger events in mass. And so we said we want to see 5 to 10 members. We'll probably get 2, 3, 5, but we'll say 5 to 10 from each club to be able to get to these. And we're providing a meal for them and teaching them how to do Discover Rotary. We've applied for a membership grant from Jose to be able to get some funds to be able to do a public image grant, where we will do matching funds for boosting social media that has a focus on Discover Rotaries, to be able to invite folks to it. And our PI committee is putting together posts that they can use that's canned for the clubs that aren't comfortable with Canva, that aren't comfortable with social media doing it themselves, to give them the tools to be able to do this. And we'll do a matching grant of up to $100 per club. They put in 100, we'll put in 100 to be able to boost on there. And we have measuring tools for it. Then the other thing that we've done is I had forgotten about Grow Rotary, the growrotary.org page. And I was out speaking at a conference in Nebraska in January, and their DMC was talking about, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about Grow Rotary. So we came back and looked through it at our district, and we identified about 10 Rotary deserts throughout our district where there makes sense to put in clubs. And we have 3 that should form by the end of this year. I've got one that we're meeting with in 2 weeks that has already 60 people planning on being at the informational session in 2 weeks. We think that we'll probably get even more than that. And it's in a community where there's another club that's languishing, that people have gone to visit the club, but they just don't connect with it because it's a languishing club, and it just feels old and tired. It's exhausting to try to join an old club that doesn't want to make a change. So a large group of the business people said, we want to start a club there. And so we're working on doing that too. So using that tool to say, okay, here's the holes, partnering with other clubs to be able to say, in the ones where there are healthy clubs, how do we plug in those holes? How do we leverage the companion and impact models to be able to help with it too? So we're trying to shake things up here in 7610, trying something different, because we've said if it hasn't worked and we have 4 months to go, probably doing the same old isn't going to hit 100 net new members if we're at plus 18 for the year. The only way we're going to do this is new club development. So hang on to what you have and grow, grow, grow.
Right on.
So
Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Marge, I see your hand up as well.
I'd like to follow up on your point about the AGs, because they are so critical and so important. And I don't know about other districts, I only know ours, but we have district council meetings once a quarter. And at the last one, which is the beginning of February, our DG, Jeff, and we spent time talking to the AGs and talking about new clubs and the importance of that and how to do that. And I think some of the AGs didn't really get it before, sort of the whole concept, but it was really interesting watching some of them just really perk up. And I know there's a couple of them that are already out there trying to work with clubs to figure that out. So I just wanted to reinforce your point about the importance of the AGs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, let's face it, the landscape is perfect There are no rules. There is arguably still no Rotary police. And now, not only do you have that clean slate to work with, but you're also getting an intentional thumbs up from, relatively far up the food chain in Rotary
Well,
terms.
I'd like to ask Sean, I'd
Go
like to
ahead,
ask
Mike.
Sean or Patrick Eakes, is there a shift in tone from RI from what is expected from the AGs? Is this not like a new focus where we want the AGs to be more deliberate and part of the new club process?
I'll give you a two-part answer to that. First off, Mario, certainly in the boardroom and to me individually has said he believes our assistant governors, or in some cases area governors, are underutilized, and would like to see us take advantage of the knowledge and the relationships and the network they have in their individual areas, which are almost always going to be stronger than the governors. The second thing, and I've mentioned this on some calls previously, but probably not one you were on, Mike, is that the membership committee recommended to the board and the board approved at the October meeting, adding to the official duties of the assistant governor, the creation of new clubs and then nurturing those clubs after they are created. So that if it's not in the official published code of policies yet, it will be very soon. And again, that's in recognition that our AGs know what's going on in their areas. And we should honor that and we should allow them to share their stuff.
So that's a huge difference than the past.
Absolutely. At least that's more of a detailed discussion that I don't know that I've heard about having occurred in the past. But granted, I'm not in the boardroom where the rubber meets the road like the directors are, but I haven't even seen that being handed down that deliberately. So that's great news.
Sean,
Sandy Olson.
Sean,
Yeah, go ahead.
yep.
Yep, Sandy Olson, I saw your hand flash. Go ahead, please.
I had an amazing experience and I was surprised and I was shocked. But these things happen from time to time. I got an email from a Rotarian from Texas in the Arlington, Texas area. His name is Kurt Bartley. He's the district membership chair, getting ready to be district governor for District 5790. And he was online looking at different zones and different districts in terms of just looking for information that could help him grow membership in his district. And on the Zone 33 site, he noticed our video there on Discover Rotary. And he emailed me and said, could we please have a phone conversation? I've never heard of this before, and I'd like to know more information about it. And so you can imagine to hear from somebody from Texas, I mean, it blew my mind. So anyhow, long story short, I did him one better. We scheduled a Zoom. And so I actually saw this guy. He is for real. And we talked over an hour about Discover Rotary. And it was exciting. It was fun. And he got all excited about it and is ready to introduce it in his district. Can you imagine a district that has just heard about Discover Rotary? That was beyond me. But anyhow, so an amazing experience.
Well done, lady. You're gonna have to, after you get back from Texas, having led that discussion out there, you're gonna have to let us know how it went. That'd be great. They should ship you out there and let you show them how it's done. Outstanding. Anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up before we shift a little bit towards being provided with some information from our director? Nope, not seeing any hands. Director Patrick, I believe, as is customarily the course, you have some things that you'd like to share from perhaps a little bit different angle that the rest of us don't get very often.
Sure, Sean, and I'm a little disappointed you only allotted me 20 minutes. I was hoping for 30 or 40.
Oh, this call tonight, we're going till 8 o'clock. You didn't.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, no, I wanted to share something. A few of you may have heard this on the Zoom formation call Monday, but as I think you're aware, the North American directors get together once a month virtually, and we focus on membership. We generally will invite the directors-elect and now the directors nominees, since they were certified December 1st. So it's a pretty active group. We recognize that North America, let's face it, we've had our struggles for a couple of decades on membership. We also recognize that our group of directors gets smaller as a result of that, because we rebalance the board every 8 years, and we've gone from 7 to 5 in North America, and that could even shrink further at some point. So anyway, we focus on membership. It so happened that in February, our second Monday of the month meeting was during International Assembly. So with all the directors there, all the directors-elect there, we got together for our normal meeting because of the 3 director nominees in North America. One is aide to the president and one is a trustee. They were also there. So the only person missing out of 3 classes of directors was Marshall Butler, my successor. So anyway, we got together, Brian King, who is our director of membership at Rotary International, his boss, Nora Zai, and President Stephanie were all part of this meeting. And I pitched to them a proposal to create a network of people, one in each zone, who are specifically targeting new club creation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, that sounds a lot like an ICA, and that would be natural to think that. But this proposal was generated by 2 people on this call, Patrick Langano and Chris Jones. And they want to take probably more so what Patrick has learned and developed and proven over the last 4 years in new club creation, the 4-step process that he has refined. It once was a 5-step process. So much like the 4-way test, it started out with more than just 4. It's refined down to 4. To take that and to be available and to really provide some gas in the engine on new club creation across the continent. So presented that to everybody. Stephanie was on board. All of the directors, the elects, the nominees were on board, and said, yeah, let's do this. We're going to put together a team of people with very specialized skills, and they will be there to help with the leads that ICAs generate, the Rotary coordinators generate, that RMOs generate, that districts generate, and to help them with this process, to be able to walk clubs through the process. Because I think, as all of us on this call who've worked in this space now know, many clubs might have an interest in starting a new club, chartering either a standalone or a satellite/companion, but they don't know how. It seems overwhelming. So they're going to put together this team. Jose and his colleagues as regional membership officers will also be a critical part of this team, not just informationally, but in participating in the formation of these new clubs. Patrick and Chris have very aggressive goals for the next 2 years. I won't reveal those, but I'll tell you, if we get anywhere near that, we will see North America growing again. It's that simple. It'll be the difference between continuously shrinking and finally moving in an upward direction on membership. We had a follow-up meeting with the directors and elects and nominees last week and talked about the types of people we're looking for, invited the directors from across the continent to make any suggestions or nominations that they might want for Patrick and Chris to interview. And Patrick, I think Patrick and Chris, you probably had your first nominee within hours.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yep, we did.
We've heard from everybody except for one zone, but they're debating on, a couple names for us to interview. But
so they are very excited about this. I had a follow-up call with one of my director colleagues today who couldn't make the call last week. She's excited. I've got notes. I think everybody sees this as a path forward. Now, let me also mention that after International Assembly, the morning after, when the governors-elect were going home, most of them, we had a joint meeting of the Board of Trustees for the foundation and the Board of Directors for Rotary International. And we were, frankly, very fortunate to get 30 minutes to discuss membership during that meeting. For a 3-hour meeting, that was a pretty big chunk. And I presented this to the board. I said, look, we're not asking for funding. We're not asking for a blessing. We're not asking to make this an official program. This is an unofficial pilot. It's a test. We think you're going to want to buy into it later, but we're doing this moving forward, and got unanimous, very, very positive reception, particularly from President-elect Mario, who just said it in his typical plain-spoken way, that the only path forward to success in membership is the creation of new clubs. And he's right. We all know that while it's important to work with the current clubs we have, that not enough of them are going to change enough or quickly enough to solve the problem by themselves. So new clubs give us not only new Rotarians, but new viewpoints. We reach parts of our community that we haven't been reaching before, and give us new service opportunities and many, many other benefits. The last thing I'll add that I think is important about this is the team that Chris and Patrick are putting together will function a bit like a cadre, meaning they won't be restricted to just their own zones. So that if there's a specialist in Arizona who would be a good fit for a potential club in New York, great. They'll assist with that. So Patrick and Chris, I don't know if you'd like to add anything to that or not. We've still got, well, a little over 2 hours till 8 o'clock. So feel free to add if you'd like.
Patrick, if you don't mind, I have a couple things, and then if
Take
you
it.
don't mind, then you can add a couple things.
Sure.
I'm excited about this opportunity. I've been talking to Patrick Eakes about developing an army to go out and open new clubs for, I don't know, Patrick, how long we've been talking about that, a number of years, right? Yeah. And so to have this dedicated army focused on opening new clubs is just a really exciting opportunity for me. And I know Patrick Longano has been chomping at the bit to just get out there and get this team rolling. He has been, well, I shouldn't steal his thunder. He'll tell you about all the writing he's done about this and where he's focused on taking this. So Patrick.
I just did it because I'm tired. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I just think that duplication is the greatest thing. Could never have done this without the continued support of Patrick Eakes. I'm not blowing smoke. And Brian King, these guys have kind of stood in front of bullets and trains and everything else thrown their way for the past 5 years, and have really kind of championed this. And they were so receptive to allowing us to pick our team. With some input of maybe a couple of people that they could, nominate for an interview. And it really is, I think it'll be something really special. And the more people we can bring into it, the better. I'm looking forward to working with the RMOs, especially. I got a good chance to speak with Emily Tucker down at Lone Star Pets this weekend. And I mean, we all know that Jose's awesome, but you got a chance to speak with a couple of other RMOs, and they were very excited about doing this. So it's coming together very quickly, and we'll have more to announce soon. So I just appreciate everybody's support over the years, and it's only because of the work of the ICAs here in Zone 33, starting back when Chris and Patrick started this, that we would even be here. Even be at this point where North America's taken a chance on a trial like this. I think it's speaks really highly of what we've done here in Zone 33. And when I was down there in Lone Star, I got to meet with 2 of the directors or the people coming in as directors. And that's all they talked about. Oh my gosh, if we can only be as successful as Zone 33. And oh my gosh, we are the shining light for new club creation in North America. And they're very excited to receive all of our help. So thank you very much for the opportunity and the support over the years. And we'll just continue to keep pushing forward.
That's a key point, Patrick, that the credibility, frankly, that I have because of the work that all of you have done was instrumental in people buying into this. And again, I want to be clear that none of this is to Bigfoot the ICA effort at all. You all are, you're in the districts, you're in your communities, you know where the opportunities are. So it's not in any way designed to do that. I'll also add, Jose and I were on a Rotary International membership committee call this morning, and this is an extremely active membership committee. Talking to Brian King, he's never quite seen anything like it. You're going to continue to see recommendations that I will take to the board as liaison to that committee to strengthen the hand, if you will, of district membership committees and even potentially at his own level moving ahead. So we're going to continue to make this a bigger focus. I'm a Rotary Foundation guy through and through, but membership is our number one internal priority, deserves to have more attention, more focus, more resources, and not the smallest reason, because when we can straighten out our membership issues, we'll help the Rotary Foundation, since our primary donor base is people on this screen and people around the world who are members of our organization. So I've taken enough time, Sean. I'll give it back to you, but I say again that I appreciate what all of you do. Was very excited by the last report that Sean sent me, and getting things going in the right direction with an even increased pace on new club creation. So thank you all.
Thanks, sir.
Sean,
Thank you.
John, just everybody. I mean, I'm dead serious when I say this. You know, with Chris Jones and Sean and Sandy and Patrick, with Chris and Patrick starting this off, and Sean and then Sandy, you know, helping with this. Everybody really on this call, we would not be where we were if they didn't take the slings and arrows for the first several years in this. So I think they deserve a round of applause. I really do. So if you guys can just give it up for Patrick and Chris and all those OG ICA people out there. The OGs are in the house, so we really appreciate y'all a lot.
Chris Jones, I see your hand up. You got something you want to throw in?
Just one last point, and Patrick alluded to it, but I just want to say it out loud. Everything in Rotary starts with a member. And so, you know, Patrick Eakes, being a very foundation focused and oriented individual, understands the fact that the only way we're going to get more donations into the foundation is through more members in our organization. The only way we're going to get more public image is through getting more members doing great projects in our organization. The way we're going to get more members into the organization is through additional members coming in and sharing the great work that we do with other people. Membership is key. It is the foundation, no pun intended, of everything that we do. And new clubs creates the opportunity for us to bring in people that we never would have had the opportunity to get. These new innovative clubs is one model. Creating new legacy standalone clubs is certainly another model. We have the world in front of us, and the world is our oyster. And I got to tell you, getting to at least 1% penetration of our population will not be an issue. Not at all. And if you think about the world population, right now we have 1.4 million Rotarians or Rotary members around the world. Think about what we can do when we penetrate greater than 1% of our population.
Yep. Yep. And the thing that I'm excited about that I believe that I heard, and sorry to apply any undue pressure to anybody that's already got a full plate, but this is absolutely the group in this zone that has their fingers on the pulse of what works and what can happen. So I'm sure this new initiative is going to rely relatively heavily on everybody that's here continuing to do what they're doing. I think I heard someone say explicitly that this is not a substitute for what we do. And if I understand the way that it's going to work correctly, this is going to be an integral part to seeing things continue to improve and build upon this new initiative. Is that correct? Patrick, Chris, yes? Great.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. I've got 5 minutes till 6. I guess we could always forgo the last 2 hours of the call. But in the meantime, what I do want to share is just a few things that I would ask each of you keep in mind. And that's these future events. Monday, March the 10th, which is 6 days from today, is the next monthly membership action plan call, or MAP, of course. A week after that is the monthly district membership chair and district governor call that starts at 5 o'clock. Then for this group in particular, the 20th of March is the deadline, if you will. It's such an imposing term, but the day by which you are each asked to have input your updates to the Google Sheet, so that, again, those can be delivered to Director Patrick. He can take them to the board. And if you didn't have an idea of how important that was before, I think after hearing him and others speak to this new initiative, you have a great reason to know why it's so important. And then this call, of course, next month will be on April the 1st. No fool. There's only one fool out on this call, and that's me. Everybody else, that is legit. The date is April the 1st, and it's at 5 o'clock again. And in usual fashion, I want to share with you that today is National Hug a GI Day. If you ask me personally and publicly, our veterans are not appreciated enough. And while that sounds a little flippant to hug a GI Day, absolutely take advantage of that. Today is also National Pound Cake Day. And near and dear to my heart, if you didn't already know, today is National Marching Music Day. And I can elaborate on that at a different time when it's more appropriate. But there are some people on this call that are very fond of that and actually have a pedigree with it. So if there is nothing further, I see no hands up. We're going to call this a wrap. I appreciate everyone being here. Mark, Brandon, and others, please go and enjoy Mardi Gras now, will you? And not annoy anybody else with your comments from the back of the bus. I'd appreciate it.
Let's Mardi Gras. Let's go.
Anybody needs us, any member of the team or each other, don't wait 30 days to reach out and do it. Just because we're not on a Zoom call doesn't mean that we can't help each other. And together we will definitely do better things. So I appreciate you all. Appreciate you donating the time. 5:58. We're being timely. Thank you all again. See you in a month.
See y'all.
Yep.